Welcome to Moose Plays, everyone. I'm the Liquor Moose, and today we will be going over my quarterfinals match for the 8th season of the GPC. For this match, we will be up against Joqq, coach of the Dunfirmlinoones. Please go check him out. His link will be in the description down below, as well as links to all of the coaches, even though it's in playoffs. Only 6 coaches actually advanced to playoffs, the other ones being Ben or Shiny Sableye, whichever one is in the description. Like, that's the one you're looking for. Gareth or Pew Pew Pew, if that one's there. Johnny or Risepool, and Ace Trainer Josh. And then obviously us too. But yeah, so go check those guys out. But yeah, so this, I am so happy to make it to the playoffs. I honestly was just hoping to make a good playoff run, and I didn't expect to make it in, so I'm really happy that I did. And yeah, this match was not an easy one to prep for, so we put in quite a bit of time. And yeah, hopefully we can get a good match out of Joqq. And believe me, Joqq won't make it easy. If you don't believe me, you can check out my team builder, which I will link in the description down below. As you can see, what Joqq's big threats are to my team, and why I brought the mons that I did. But for just a quick overview, we have a Steelium Z Dragon Dance Haxorus. We have quite a spicy Curse, Earthquake, Toxic Counter, Physically Defensive Registeel. We have Physically Defensive Uxie, which is our rocker for the match, which also has Knockoff Ice Punch and Giga Drain. And then we have Expert Bolt Weavile with Swords Dance, Ice Shard, Knockoff, and Poison Jab. We have Modest, pretty standard Megaane with 3 attacks and Toxic. And then we have Rock Polish, Physical, Life Orb, Landorus. Looking at what Joqq brought to the table, he brought the Raikou, the Drapion, the Zygarde, the Bronzong, the Aromatisse, and the Infernape. And the one thing that when I saw this I was kicking myself in the ass for, like I said I would do in my team builder, is there is no Quagsire. There's only one ground type there, which is good for my Megaane, but without the Quagsire there, Giga Drain on Uxie is pretty much useless, and now I'm really wishing I had U-Turn. But other than that, there wasn't too many surprises. Like I predicted, he did bring the Drapion. A little surprised he didn't bring the Starmie or the Mega Arrow to Rapid Spin or Defog. But I guess he wasn't worried just about rocks. He was only worried about Toxic Spikes because I did Hazard Stack him last time. But anyways, looking at team matchup here, or I guess lead matchup. I don't really know what specifically Joqq wants to lead with. He could be like last time, be Scarf Infernape and try to lead with that and just U-turn. But I am actually more predicting him to go to lead with his Bronzong to set up rocks. So I am going to lead with my Megaane to try and just Volt Switch out, because I know I've been leading with Megaane a lot, but it's honestly just a pretty safe lead in general. Honestly, especially when Joqq only has the one ground type at his disposal for this game. So looking at how I do lead with my Manectric here, and Joqq decides to lead with his Zygarde. Now, if you watch the team builder, I am Modest this time, which does give HP Ice a chance to OHKO an offensive Zygarde. So I'm actually going to go for that, because if he is some kind of setup variant or like a substitute variant, then I can't let it set up for completely free. So I am just going to go click the HP Ice button as we do get the Intimidate off, and I go for it. And we do a clean 99%, just missing out on the OHKO. And Joqq just goes for 1,000 arrows, and that kills me. And that, boys and girls, is a choice. Well, too late. That is a Choice Banded Zygarde 50. That was the only way that Zygarde could kill from there after the Intimidate. But yeah, so seeing that, I thought at first to go into Weavile. And to try to set up the Dragon Dance, because he is locked into 1,000 arrows, since with the attack drop I would actually live. But for one, I actually forgot about the Intimidate drop when calking, and for two, it wouldn't really make a lot of sense to SD right here, just because even if I do kill the Zygarde, the Infernape pretty easily comes into revenge with either a priority move or just being scarfed and going for close combat or Flare Blitz or something. So in the end, I decided to make the much safer play and going into my Uxie here. And I'm just going to get up my rocks here, because I know he is locked into 1,000 arrows. So he either switches or just goes for that, which doesn't do too much damage to me. So I get my rocks up for not free, but in exchange for a little bit damage. Now I'm just gonna try to kill with Ice Punch. I don't think he tries to save this just because rocks are up and he didn't bring hazard removal, and he does let the Zygarde go down. And here Joqq decides to switch into his Drapion. Now looking at this, Pursuit actually can't kill me, so I'm actually like, if he's even if he's offensive Drapion, I guess if he's banded, it probably could. I didn't calc for banded, but if he brought banded Zygarde, I highly doubt he was also banded Drapion. But yeah, so Pursuit actually couldn't kill me. Knockoff could, so I was actually anticipating the knockoff. So I'm going to switch into my Haxorus because since it's carrying the Z Crystal, it is by far the thing that can most easily take the incoming knockoff should he choose to go for it. But Joqq actually goes for the Swords Dance play, not the Dragon Dance. And here, this is where I thought about it a bit more, and actually, out of all his moves, Drapion does not get an Ice Fairy or Dragon type move, barring Hidden Powers. But what I did almost forget, I did look it up, but Drapion is one of his Z users. And seeing that Zygarde was banded, I am pretty sure that Drapion has a Z Crystal on him. And so for doing that, I'm actually going to double out here into Registeel, scouting for Z Poison. In hindsight, maybe not the best play because he could very well have Z Ground with Earthquake, but I am physically defensive and this Earthquake wouldn't be stab. So yeah, I'm mostly just here scouting for the Poisonium Z from Poison Jab, as Joqq actually decides to switch out into his Aromatisse, which I am perfectly fine with. And as we can see here, Aromatisse doesn't show leftovers, which is also really good. So I actually don't know what his item was on Aromatisse, but regardless, seeing that this is a naturally bad matchup for Aromatisse, I do anticipate him to switch out, but I am not really sure at first what to expect. I'm actually anticipating him to switch into Bronzong to try to get up his own rocks, as if he lets Bronzong get his own Bronzong get in for basically free, I actually lose a lot of momentum, especially on this specific Registeel, because this Registeel cannot touch Bronzong at all. Mostly, like, I just can't because my attacking moves are counter, which I guess I could touch him with because he could have Gyro Ball or some other physical move. And then I have Earthquake, which I assume he has Levitate for because I do have a Landorus Eye on my team. And then I have Toxic, which he's immune to because he's Steel type. So I am actually going to try to predict him and offensively switch into my Weavile to try to predict his Bronzong. Because actually I can take, assuming his Aromatisse isn't especially attack invested, then I can actually live a Moonblast if for whatever reason Joqq decides to stay in here. So I'm going to make the aggressive triple into my Weavile. And unfortunately Joqq switches out into his Raikou. And it wasn't really, I mean, it was a good, like, I just failed the prediction because I just didn't know what else he wanted to do. But this is a pretty free Volt Switch for Joqq, so pretty much my thought process on this turn was, what do I want to try to bait in? I thought at first I could go into my Registeel and try to bait in the Infernape so I can go for counter. However, this wouldn't work if Raikou is Specs, as Volt Switch would actually be doing too much damage, and as well, there is still the potential that Joqq knows that Knockoff can't kill from here, unless he thinks I'm banded. I guess that's a fair assumption. But if I switch out and he goes for Aura Sphere and he's Specs, then that's a 2-hit KO on my physically defensive Registeel. So ultimately, that wasn't the best play. So in the end, what I decided to do was go into my Uxie, as it's probably the most expendable member, seeing that the Zygarde already went down, even though he still does have the Infernape in the back. But what this will do is potentially bait out the Drapion, should he choose to go for the Volt Switch, which he does. And as we see here, Joqq does go into the Drapion here, and I was thinking again about this play, but ultimately I decided to let Uxie go down because Pursuit could kill from this range if I try to switch out, but ultimately I just decided to let it go down, as I feel like it's done its job. Yeah, I can hopefully try to revenge with, like, hopefully I can sit up with Landorus and try to win the game like that. So once I set up Rock Polish, I outspeed all of his potential Scarfers, so I should be the fastest thing on the field. Now anyways, looking at this, I decided to go into my into my Haxorus, as that is as I can very easily revenge with this, especially seeing that Drapion can't kill from this range. Even with the Z move, now that he's unboosted, he can't kill me. So I thought a lot about whether I should Dragon Dance here or not, but in the end, if he was Z move, I think he would go for it here. And if I do Dragon Dance, then obviously Drapion's Z move wouldn't kill me, but then Scarf and Fernape in the back would come in and just revenge me. So I decide there's no point in me trying to set up. I'll just kill this Drapion right away, and down it goes. And now here is a turn that I thought about for an extremely long time. So I thought for sure, if I was in Joqq's shoes, I would switch into Bronzong right here. I would have switched into Aromatisse and then doubled into Bronzong, scouting for either Z Steel or Z Poison. So looking at that, I am actually going to make the ballsy prediction and try to go for the Dragon Dance. Because either one of those Z moves would kill physically defensive Aromatisse from here, barring he has a Berry, which I guess could have been the case, I don't know. But anyways, I'm going to make the the ballsy play and Dragon Dance here, predicting him to switch into Bronzong. Basically, the thought process with this was, if he does switch into the Bronzong and he's Shuca Berry like last time, then I can Earthquake after that and pop the Shuca Berry, but then Gyro Ball doesn't kill me back. It's still a 2-hit KO though, but then I can Earthquake after that. And then the only issue with that is Moonblast is an exactly, assuming again non-invested Aromatisse, Moonblast is exactly a 50-50 roll to kill and not kill this Haxorus. So I just say fuck it. I really think Joqq is gonna switch here, and as you see here, he stays in. So I'm thinking, oh god, please don't die to the Moonblast, please don't die to the Moonblast, and we live on 2%. And I was like, oh thank god. So now I'm gonna pop the Z move, but of course now is when Joqq switches in his Bronzong to take the Z Steel, and yeah, I just figured here is where I have to go for Earthquake. I have to attack what's in front of me. My Haxorus is at 2%. There's no point in trying to predict what he's going to do. As I go for the Earthquake, and he does reveal to have the Shuca Berry just like last time. And he's going to go for the Gyro Ball and kill my Haxorus, which is unfortunate, but this does give me a free switch into my Landorus. And here, I kind of saw that it was an opening, and I go for Rock Polish here, and yeah, it was the clear play, and luckily HP Ice or Gyro Ball couldn't kill once I'm at +2, and here I can just go for the safe knockoff and kill this Bronzong. And here now Joqq switches into the Aromatisse, and at this point Joqq actually put in the chat that I think this is game, and I had to stop myself so fast. I had to stop myself so fast from clicking the Earthquake button, because that would have been a choke. Because what I assume that Joqq thinks is that this is a mixed Landorus, and if this was a mixed Landorus and I just had Sludge Wave, even if I'm modest right now with no adamant with no investment in special attack, and he is physically defensive Aromatisse, then Sludge Wave kills. So that's what I assume Joqq was thinking. But what he doesn't know is I'm fully physical Landorus. So the best thing I had to click right here is Earthquake, and that would have been a choke. Oh, I assume it would have been a choke. Right now I don't know anything about this Aromatisse, but if he's specially defensive, like basically just max HP in this point, then yes, Earthquake does kill, and that's game. However, if he is physically defensive, I actually cannot kill from here. There's no roll that allows that, and then he goes for Moonblast and kills me. And then I guess I would have to play from there. But seeing as I'm predicting this to be physically defensive for my Haxorus, I want to preserve this. Not necessarily because I think it's good later, because honestly there's not going to be another chance for me to set up, but just to save it as a sack later just in case, because clicking Earthquake here does not win me the game. It actually could potentially choke the game away for me. So what I'm actually going to do instead is double into, like, Moonblast here. Like, he has to click Moonblast because he can't afford to fuck around with a +2 speed Landorus right now. So seeing as I still have a very healthy Registeel on the back, I'm just going to go into that. As we see, Joqq does just click the Moonblast button, and here I'm pretty safe to fire off a Toxic in case he stays in or decides to switch into something else. And as we see here, Aromatisse just decides to throw up a Wish. So I think, okay, well I guess now I get my chance to set up with this Registeel. And yeah, I go for the curse, and we see here that he just goes for the heal bell. And I think, okay, this is great. I basically get another free setup. And as we see here, Joqq doesn't want any of this, but I go for the curse here, and I go to the calc, and +2 Earthquake kills this Raikou. So I'm perfectly happy with it, and even Specs Raikou couldn't kill with Thunderbolt here, so I go for the Earthquake, and the Raikou drops. And yeah, Joqq really can't do anything about this Registeel right now, and it's great. And he goes into Infernape just kind of, like as a last-ditch effort, basically. Goes for the CC button, and that can't kill, and Earthquake kills from here, even if he didn't have the defense drop. So yeah, that's going to go down here too. The only thing is this Aromatisse, since I'm mono Earthquake and I don't have Iron Head. Yeah, it's gonna take a while. It's gonna take a while for Aromatisse to try to knock me down. But yeah, I see that 29, like Earthquake's doing 29% here, and that's obviously not enough. So I basically have to curse up. Yeah, I tried going for the Earthquake, but yeah, Joqq is still gonna try to play this out. I didn't know if he would, but I mean it's playoffs, so obviously he wants to try to play it out. But yeah, so seeing as this is the case, I'm just gonna curse up to basically +6/+6. As I believe I go to that now, and yeah, I'll speed it up a bit because otherwise it's gonna take forever. As we see here, I am just gonna curse up to +6/+6, and I either have to stall him out of wishes or just try to catch him on the proper predictions on my Toxics. Which, spoilers, I am going to do. And luckily, this is the 3-0 win for the Toronto Razor Leafs. Yeah, so I think it's not here. He was asking whether why wasn't I going for Iron Head, and I was like, well, I actually don't have Iron Head. I only have Earthquake. So yeah, so we go again back and forth with the whole Wish Protect stuff, and yeah, once again we see that Aromatisse is just a monster, and Aromatisse just causes stall wars. I think it's close to here. No, I think he fires off a Wish. I think he fires off a Wish here, and I go for Earthquake. And then he goes for Protect, so I go for Curse here because I didn't want to waste Earthquake power points. Yeah, so now here is when I go for a Toxic because obviously he's going to fire off Wish here. And then seeing as he can live another Earthquake, he's actually going to go for Heal Bell, and I'm going to go for a second Toxic. Right. And basically that seals me the deal because now he can't really get into a range where he can freely Heal Bell since he needs 2 turns to Wish. But yeah, so yeah, that's it. I end up beating Joqq, and that is 1 demon down, and we're hang on, wait for it. I think this is this is the turn because he drops the poison, and boom, the Toronto Razor Leafs are going to the semifinals of season 8 of GPC, and I am so happy. I cannot believe this Registeel set worked out. It was like, it's so experimental, and even Matt and Melon in the league were live comming this game, and they did not think this Registeel set was going to work, and I am so glad it put in so much work. And I have to give shoutouts to my buddy Sean, who definitely suggested this. And the only reason I said yes to this was only because it's playoffs and I need to do something slightly unpredictable. And yeah, Curse Registeel worked out, and I couldn't be happier about it. But yeah, GG to Joqq. Again, check out his link in the description. I think Joqq is going to take a break from Mons until he gets like his own work situation sorted out, but I'm sure he can still find some good content from his past in there, so definitely still go check him out. And yeah, next week we will be up against Demon number 2. We are going up against Ace Trainer Josh, coach of the Texas Turtwigs, and that will not be an easy match, let me tell you. He kind of manhandled me in our regular season game, so I'm really looking forward to. I'm hoping to get some revenge on that. But yeah, keep your eye out on the channel next week for when the team builder for that one goes live. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.